but I've had some success in cold calling and prospecting. So I thought I'll share some tips, and if you can take away 1 or 2 tips and actually get a sale close in the next few months, I'll feel better, and you'll feel better, and you'll have some money in your pocket as well. So just want to give you a little layout. What I'm going to do is take 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes and just show you some tips and ideas and share them with you. Then I'll have like a 5 or 6 minute question and answer. If you have any questions, if not, that's good. Then Louise here, another cold calling machine in our office, we're going to do a demo and give you a sample of what does a good, effective, and fun call sounds like, or what the process is. So you may be calling some way, but you can see how he does it and I do it, and you can share some tips and you can always get better, right? It's like you have a car, if you wax it, it looks better. So today you're gonna get some waxing on. So let's do that. So let me give you some statistics. First of all, does cold calling work? The question is yes, if you ask me and if you ask anybody else. And in the meeting yesterday, I went through the notion that, hey, how many of you have had Zillow calls, or Trulia calls, or Homes.com calls? A lot of them, right? How many of you had broker calls from Tarbell or Seven Gables or Prudential? Most of you have had, and more than once, right? How many of you had calls from Red Cross at home? How many of you had calls from City Council and the one you don't like, and he's called your home? Vote for me. Solar people call, right? Why do they do that? For the last 100 years, people have been doing, well, not 100 years, ever since the phones came out. They've been using phones, right? So why do they use it? Because it works. And also the best thing about phone calls is zero cost. It doesn't cost you anything mailing, anything advertising. It's zero marketing. So here's a quick question. Why does it work? Forget the Zillow and forget the brokers and all that, but if I ask you a question, why does phone calling work? Anybody want to answer that? Alma?
Because most likely they're going to answer the phone and you're going to have a meaningful conversation.
Exactly. I was looking at a website. I was having Starbucks and I went on a website and I Googled why do people like to look at the phones. And you know, there's a website called dailynews.com. And dailynews.com says that an average person today looks at their cell phones 110 times per day. Either to check the time, to check the voice messages. 18 times out of that is for them to check voice messages. What that means is people are expecting phone calls. People love to call. I bet you if a phone rings, some of you will pick it up. If you go to webinars and seminars, I go to those all the time. How many people pick up their phones? Everybody loves to pick up their phones. So if you're the caller, doesn't it make sense that if I call Kathy or if I call Bruce right here, they're going to pick up the phone? So that's why you need to call, because people pick up the phone. People love to talk, people love to get phone calls. Nobody calls me, so I don't like to get phone calls, so I just call everybody. Right. So now that we know it works, I'm going to share with you how to make it fun and exciting. And I've got 6 points I'm going to share with you to how to make it fun, because if this job is not fun, you're not going to do it, right? How many of you do open houses? Is it fun? You can make it fun, so you do it, right? So to become better at making phone calls, let's make it fun. That way you don't feel like, oh my God, I gotta make calls. Just make it fun. And here's the 6 points. The first thing is, before you start making those calls, whether it's daily or next 6 months, what are your expectations? Okay, I'm gonna go to the office and make 20 calls. I know what my expectations are. So if you know that, hey, I'm gonna call 20 people and maybe 3 will answer. So have your expectation. I'm gonna dial 50 and I'm gonna get a hold of maybe 5 people. So that's one expectation. Also know that, yes, Kathy?
Like, what are the stats? Like, how many do you call to get a hold of? You know, if you call 50 people, how many do you usually talk to?
Well, according to the stats of the Mike Ferries and Tom Ferries and Brian Buffini's, they say that for every 20 contacts, you should get 1 lead, ABC lead, for every 20 contacts. That's what they say. So if you have a expectation like, okay, I'm going to make 20 contacts. Out of the 20, 5 are going to be mad at me because they're not mad at me. So I know when I call, hey, Kathy, do you want to sell your house? And say, oh, you realtors all the same. I know in my mind that she's mad at the dog, or at her daughter, or at her husband. She's not mad at me. That's the first thing. So it doesn't bother me if you get mad at me. I know that 2 people will say, no, I'm not going to sell my house. Don't call me back, which is fine. And I respect that. I won't call them back. I know that somebody say, yeah, I may thinking about selling, but I'm not going to sell for 5 years, so let them go. 1 out of 4, 1 out of 20 will say, yeah, I'm thinking about selling when my son graduates next year. So if you want to call that a lead, that's a lead. So if you know your expectations, you don't get upset about it, because most of the people, when they call, they get upset or discouraged. But if you know the numbers, it's fine. Point number 2 is know your numbers. Again, going back to how many calls can you make so you get a lead? How many leads do you need to get an appointment? How many appointments do I need to get a close? And each one is different, because if it's an internet lead, it's different. If it's calling lead. So if you know your numbers, you know what to expect. If I call, like Kathy asked, if I call 20 people a day, and that's my goal, every day I want to make 20 contacts. It takes me about 2 hours. The average call nationwide, according to the real estate gurus, 8 to 10 contacts per hour is good. If you're not good at phone calls, you'll do 5 to 6 contacts, and you can get better. So in 2 hours, you should do 20. Average agent does about 10 to 12 for 2. So you can improve by knowing how to do it, how to say, what not to say, who to hang up on. I do hang up on a lot of people because I don't have time to hear their stories. And nobody calls back. If they call back, I'm sorry, I dropped the phone, and just move on. The second thing that's very important is know your stats. Like, okay, I farm Anaheim Hills, so I know that in January 30 homes came on the market, 20 went in escrow. Last year there was a 6% raise, whatever it is. So let's say you're calling a farm, right? So know your numbers, what's happening in that farm. So if I'm calling, hey Donna, I'm calling your home, I know I've talked to you before, have you thought about selling? And she's gonna say, well, I don't know, the market's slow. Well, I'm glad you think that way, but can I tell you, Donna, the market's not really slow. Did you know that in January, 5 homes sold near your house? Did you know that, Donna?
No.
Exactly. In fact, 3 of them sold over full price. I mean, how much more intelligent do you have to be? Just know the stats. Go to PWR if you don't know. If you go to the PWR website, on the top it says PWR reports. If you type in zip code, it gives you the whole report. Right? I mean, you've used those. So have that in front of you, so when you call, I'm going to sell when the market picks up. Oh, thank you, but did you know that 50 homes sold last year? And what happens with the stats, 2 things happen. Number 1, you change the thinking. Oh my God, market is busy. I thought it was slow. But what it does is, oh my God, this guy knows what he's talking about. 6%, he knows that. He knows all the numbers. And all I'm doing is PWR. It's not even me. So it's all perception. Selling is perception. And the more, not that you're cheating, you do know the stats. You're not cheating them, because that's not how we do business. So know your numbers. If you know your numbers, you sound like a professional, because sellers and buyers want professionals. They deal with professionals, and you have to be a professional. And to be a professional, you have to act like one. You have to know the stuff, and go from there. So, am I making sense, guys? Does it make sense? Okay. I'm not wasting your time, so otherwise I'll leave. So. Because I don't want Anna upset, because then she'll cut my split rates, and I don't. I'm just kidding, Anna. So, okay, number 4. Like I said, if you dial 50, you're probably going to get hold of 10 or 15 people. So what that means is I'm going to get a lot of no answers, right? Nobody's going to answer, or I'm going to get a lot of no's. So here's how you take care of that. It's for every no, and you've heard this before, this is nothing new. I was talking to Bob today, and he told me this, so I put it in there. He said that he was talking to somebody, and a long time ago, Bob, maybe about 21 days ago, that was a long day, and he said that this guy told him that for every no, you're getting closer to a yes, and then every dial is worth some money. So let me do a little bit of statistics. So you understand, for every call you make, you're getting closer and closer to the contact. Let me take that in a different perspective. So let's say an agent is making $200,000 a year in Orange County, okay? And let's say that he calls, most of the agents call. And calls means not just calling randomly. It's also calling expireds, for sale by owners. It's calling your sphere of influence. It's calling your vendors, your affiliates, your friends, people in the church group, people at your soccer groups, whatever, calling anybody. So if you look at that, including your friends and family, let's say 50% of the deals you got was from calling in some way. So if you make $200,000, that means $100,000 came from calling, because others you got from an internet lead or a referral or open house, they just walked in and bought the house. So if you make $100,000 from all those calls, and assuming that you work 240 days of work a year, most of the agents are supposed to work that, it's about 20 days a month. 5 days a week that is. And if you make an average of 15 calls, not even 20, just 15, then each contact that you have, it boils down to $27 per call, if you really think about it. So that means if I come to the office every day, call 15 people, Monday through Friday, 12 months on weekdays, every call that I make, and of course I have to be excited and I'm going to talk about it and know what I'm going to say, you're going to make $27. So if you don't want to do open houses, call those, it's 27 bucks per call. The fifth reason why it's fun is that it's, and I talked about it earlier, is that there's no cost, it's zero. It costs you nothing to call them. The phone numbers you can get from your affiliate companies, Escrow, Title, or other people, or you can buy. I don't know if you know, but today you can buy cell phone numbers. I have a company, if you want to know about it, call me later or talk to me later and I'll give you the company. So when I call a farm, 40% of the numbers are, this company is a database company. If you call the title company, they have 10% of the numbers in that farm. This company has 40% of the numbers in the farm. Now that they have cell phone numbers, they have 80%. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So, and that does cost you. So it is zero marketing, but if you want to take it one step further, and it's a low cost. I mean, it costs you 3 or 4 cents per number. Very cheap. And then the sixth thing, how to make it fun, is that you have to listen to them. I really have fun calling because sometimes they call, you want to sell your home, and there's nothing against old elderly ladies, but sometimes it's young kids, and the way they talk, and they want to talk because they're alone or whatever. I just listen to them and I get a kick out of it. Oh, my dog did this, and my granddaughter, and I know the whole story, and I don't even know the guy. And sometimes it's fun. Every day I hear a story that's, oh my God, you're telling me this? I've had a guy tell me about his wife. And I'm listening because he was mad at her. And he said, oh, she did this and she did that. I said, oh my God, how could she have? I was having fun with it. And every day I hear a story. So one of the ways about calling and motivating yourself, if you're not motivated, is have fun with it. And if you use some of those tips, it'll be good. So let's see how we can make it effective. Anything you do, whether you do open houses, whether you do Zillow calls or your LinkedIn profile, it has to be effective. So calling, you can make it really effective. I've got about 5 or 6 tips on that. So the first thing is the same thing that I told earlier, to make it fun, know your numbers. So if you're calling, let's say, I told earlier that a good average to good agent calls 16 to 20 calls per hour. And if you're averaging 5 for 2 hours, then you can improve your number. How can I make it better? One of the reasons you don't get too many calls because you're talking too much on the phone. Let them talk. If you're only getting 3 calls per hour, 4 calls per hour, you're doing a lot of talking, and that's why you're not getting, or you're not asking the right question. Remember, Mike Ferry always says that we are first salespeople. Realtors are salespeople, and what's our job? Is to find people to buy and sell. That's our job. And selling is not talking, selling is asking questions. So to increase your number of calls, contacts per hour, ask more questions, talk less. Okay, let's move on. And then number 2, again, it boils down to know what to say. If you just call, hey, Crystal, I'm calling from First Team, this is Mike, have you thought about selling? And you get in a conversation. She talks about her dog, oh, my dog's biting me, and then you, half an hour later, you're talking about the dog. If you have a dog, Crystal, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
So if you know what to say, okay, I understand you have a dog, but Crystal, I have a really important question. Can I ask you that right now? I hope your dog doesn't talk when I'm talking to you. But people listen to you, people follow instructions. People follow instructions. If I say, hey, Bob, can you get me a glass of water? Guess what Bob's going to do? He's a nice guy. People are nice people, right? They're going to do automatically. If I say, hey, Anna, I'm sorry, but I need a fill pen, she'll get it automatically. That's just human nature. So when you tell people, hey, I'm talking to you, could you just give me 10 minutes or 5 minutes? People listen to you. So does that make sense, or is that too harsh? Make sense? Hey, remember, we are salespeople, and when we are calling, you put in your salespeople hat. That's just the reality. That's what we are. We can be friends later. We go to the party, and we can talk about everything. But when we're calling, when we're here 9 to 5, we're sales. and we have to behave like sales, we have to act like sales, and we have to have an attitude of a salesperson. Otherwise, we won't close them. Our job is to find buyers and sellers, give them great service so they can buy our service. And then when they like your service, you're going to get paid. Getting paid is your bonus in sales. That's not what you're after. You're after finding clients who want your service, give them the service, and your payment is your check that you get is a bonus. That's all it is. So. Number 3, this is very important, is that when you're talking, you have to use tonality in your voice, and you have to use voice modulation. And I won't get too much into detail. That has to do with the way you talk to on the phone. Like, if I call Crystal, hey Crystal, this is Mike Patel. Have you thought about selling your house today? Do you know anybody else want to sell? You know, I'm not going to get anywhere because I'm tired. I'm not enthusiastic. But if I say, hey Crystal, this is Mike. I'm calling from First Team. I'm calling in the area because we just sold a home in your area for $1 million. Who do you know that wants to sell in the area? Because we know that when one home sells, few more sell in the area right away. Do you know somebody who wants to think about selling? I'm on the phone. See the difference in the voice? Versus, hey Crystal, this is Mike. My manager wants me to call every day. I'm thinking, have you thought about selling your house? Because we just sold a house. It sold for $1 million. You know, I didn't like that agent. I'm thinking out loud, you know. So you gotta be energetic. You gotta have that voice and tonality. And the other thing you can do is you can mirror and match what they're saying. So if you call somebody and she answers, hello, then you want to say it the same way. Hello, this is Mike, and then take them out of there. If somebody calls you, hello, who's this? This is Mike Patel, are you Bob? Talk to them like that because then they relate to you. Once they relate to you, then you come down to yours. So this, you know, that's how it works. How do you talk to kids? If a kid walks in, how do you talk to them? Oh, you're so cute. Right? So when you're calling, if he says, this is Bob, what do you want? I want to talk to you about your property that came off the market. Do you have a quick minute? Yeah, I do. Okay. And then start asking your question. Oh, have you thought about putting it back on the market? Relate to them and then start calling. Number 4, and this is also very important, is, and I know a lot of agents or people fight this, is use scripts. And with Louise, I'm going to do a little demo. Scripts are nothing but a bunch of questions that you ask people, whether it's a for sale by owner or an expired listing or even your friends and family. You stick to the script and you ask those. And I'm going to give you some pointers why you need to have the scripts. You can make your own scripts, but there's a lot of real estate experts out there. They have free downloads on those, and I have some that I'm willing to share with anybody who wants script for anything, expireds or for sale by owner, or even calling your friends and family. I'll be glad to share it with you. Because even calling your friends, call up, hey, I have a quick minute. Do you have a quick minute? This is a business call. And then ask them the question. I'm looking to increase my business. Who do you know wants to buy or sell? And then talk about, oh, by the way, how is Cindy? Or how is your dog? Or how is your grandma? You know. So use your scripts. And the reason you use scripts is because, remember earlier we talked too much? That's why we want to use scripts, because if you use your scripts, you have a purpose to call, and then it keeps you on track. So if I'm talking to somebody and say, oh, you know what? And they talked about something else, they talk about the kids and how good he is and he won the medal and all that, and you get distracted. Hey, I totally understand that your son is great and I hope him much success, but I had a quick question. If you were to sell, where were you going to go next? And are you going to take your son with you? Change the topic. And you're coming back to the question. Next, whatever they say, acknowledge that. Don't ignore it. Acknowledge whatever they say and ask the next question. And then know what to ask. You know that whatever you ask, they're going to either object with you or argue with you or whatever. So acknowledge it. Hey, I understand you want to cut the commission. And let me come back to you. I had a quick question. I'll come back to the commission portion. So you said you were moving to San Diego, right? So don't ignore what they say. You have to answer that. And again, selling is asking, it's not telling. So that's why you use scripts. Then the next point is it keeps you in the control. Like I talked earlier, using scripts keeps you in control because you know that from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock or whenever you call, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, you got 2 hours, you're gonna make 20 contacts. You gotta get to them. So if somebody takes you off track, come back to them. The scripts really help you with that. Because you have a goal. When you have an open house, you want 7, 8 people coming in. Maybe 20, maybe 30. You want to put 10, 15 signs. So you have a goal in mind. You know, I want out of the 7, 8 people, I want to pick up 2 or 3 buyers. So whatever you do, whether it's open house or internet advertising or marketing, you need to have some goals. And then one of the big advantage of using scripts is that you're asking the questions, and guess what? You know the answers to all those questions because you make those questions. So if somebody argues with you, you know the answers and you know what they're gonna say. So that really helps. The biggest thing when you're talking to them on the phone is you never argue. Whether you're on the phone or even when you're on a listing presentation or open house, don't argue with them. Just smile, acknowledge, and move on. In fact, I'm gonna give you a little trick of how to respond to something they say, and they're always gonna object on the phone, whether it's on the phone or even a listing presentation. And I'm gonna go through that for just a minute. I need a quick sip, sorry.
Get the lines outside for before you make your calls.
Yep. Nothing's free, Alma.
You get wine when you make calls.
Yep. And if you whine, you don't get wine. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So, okay, here's a tip. When you're cold calling or warm calling or you're in a listing presentation, but we're on the phones, some of them are going to object with you or argue with you. So here's how you handle it. There's actually a process for that. How many of you knew that there's a process? Rather than say, hey, will you cut your commission on the phone? I'll list with you if you cut your commission. And I know what Reza will say. Reza will say, absolutely not. My service is like Nordstrom service. I only work with people who appreciate my service. So I charge 6%. Do you still want me to come to your appointment? That's what Reza will say. He's a professional guy. Louise will say, yeah, I'll take 3%. I'll come over right now. Well, he may do it for 4%, but I'm just kidding. So how do you handle an objection when they say, I'm calling you, hey Louise, I want to come and help you sell the home, and he's going to say, will you cut your commission? So how do you handle that? First of all, there is a process. Don't just say, well, I won't or I will. So what you do is use the RAAC system. It's called RAAC. The R stands for repeat. A is for acknowledge. The other A is for ask, and the C is for close. So when somebody asks you a question, hey Mike, will you cut your commission? So I'm gonna, number one, repeat. Oh, you want me to cut your commission, Crystal, right? So I repeated that. I understand you want to cut my commissions, but I'm assuming that you want to net the most, right, Crystal? So that you can sell the home, net the most, and move to San Diego, right? So I acknowledge that what she said. Repeat, acknowledge. So let me ask you this, Crystal. If I can get you the most money, more than what Tarvell's gonna get you, will you have time to talk to me for 20 minutes? So I asked a question, then I closed. The C is for close. Do you have 10 minutes so I can come over? Is today better or tomorrow at 5 o'clock better? So repeat, whatever they say, repeat, acknowledge, ask, and then close. Because then they engage with you. You want people to engage with you, okay? Okay, and then the last point, which is of all the things that I'm talking about today, this is the most important point when you're calling, is that have energy and enthusiasm when you talk. Key point, no matter how good you are, if you don't have energy, and we talked about it earlier, hey Crystal, do you want to sell your home when you move to San Diego? That's not going to work. For two reasons, you got to have energy, because one, you want to be confident and professional. That's one reason. The second reason is, I'm talking to you right now, you can hear my voice, right? Probably 80%, maybe at the back 90%, whatever, I don't know the stats, I'm not a scientist, whatever. But the second reason is when I'm on the phone, that voice drops to 40% of what I'm talking about. So if I'm talking to Bruce right now, hey Bruce, when are you moving to San Diego? Versus on the phone, when are you moving to San Diego? It's just the phone. So that's why you need energy, enthusiasm, and you want to stand. That's why people say stand and talk, because singers, most of the time they stand and sing. Or if they're sitting on the stool, they're projecting their voice. So on the phone, either stand or make sure you're fully energetic, fully enthusiastic, so the voice comes out, otherwise they can't hear you. And you're gonna lose it. So I've got a few more minutes of information to give you. I'm gonna conclude with some critical points. And hopefully that'll help you, and I'm sure, or I'm hoping that what I've said so far will help you in your conversations and on the phones. So let me conclude by saying, which I said earlier, that does calling work? If you ask me, it does. And I'm sure you've seen other people, it does work because everybody uses them. Make calling a routine. So one way to have fun and make it effective is you have to make it a routine. So what do you guys do the first thing when you get up? You brush. Right? You brush. Right? Well, Facebook, but when you get up, isn't that a routine? Isn't that a practice? A lot of times I don't like to brush, but I brush. It's a routine, it's a habit. So when it's your calling time, let's say it's 3 to 5, it's a habit. Hey, you know what? Donna, Starbucks was great, it's 3 o'clock, I gotta go call. It's just a habit. It's just a routine, it's no big deal. Hey, 9 o'clock, I gotta, hey Louis, sorry, we'll play solitaire later, but I gotta call. It's just like brushing, make it a habit. It's that simple. And then, one of the advantages that I think is that, how many of you, let me ask it this way, how many of you have a seller or buyer that you really don't want to work with, but you're working with them? Most of you haven't, okay? So what happens is, if you call regularly, or if you do open houses, if you generate a lot of leads every day, right? And if Bruce calls me and he's a buyer and I talk to him and I don't want to work with him, delete, he's out, because I got others. So I'm not, oh my God, I got a lead. I got to work with Bruce, even though he's not qualified and he wants to pay $250 in Orange County for a house. It's not going to happen, right? So I can delete him or I can trash the lead because I have others. So if you keep generating leads, don't look at with buyers or sellers, not going to make any deals with you because you're wasting your time. So I generate a lead a day, but I dump a lead a day. So I'm just always trashing it, okay? And then the last point is probably the best thing about this conversation that we're having is that if you call, a lot of times it's random calling. If you just call, somebody's going to say yes. So if you're not want to learn about how to be effective or how to be a voice modulation, if you don't want to use the scripts, just call. Because a lot of times when you call, hey Crystal, do you want to sell? No. Hey Donna, do you want to sell? No. Hey Alma, do you want to sell? Yeah, I'm thinking of selling. It'll happen. So if you don't want to learn all this stuff, just call, because somebody will say yes. And somebody will deal with you because a lot of times they list with you or they listen to you because you sound like them. Or you're talking about it, oh, your daughter goes to Kenyon High? My daughter went to Kenyon High. You make that connection. Or you make that voice, or I'm expressive and she's expressive. Or I'm a driver, well, I don't like Walmart. And you say, I don't like Walmart either. Oh, you don't? So somebody will do business. So just call, because somebody you're going to find that connect with you and you're going to sell. So, like I said, you have a lot of reasons to call. And I know Anna is supposed to say that, but 2015 is a great year. It's going to be a great year to make money and be profitable. So make those calls. And I call, but it's not 100% of my business. So I'm not saying, hey, if you're doing open houses, don't do open houses or don't do marketing. Do whatever you're doing. Add cold calling to it. Do it religiously with a routine. And you will add. See, people love phones. What did I tell you? Proof. Thank you for the proof. I like that. You'll have wine. So there's one more reason to call. People love phones. So hopefully that is helpful. And if you have any questions, we're going to do a role play in a few minutes. But if somebody has any concerns or questions, I'll be glad to answer. Like I said, not that I'm an expert, but I'll try to help you. And if I don't have the answer, I'll get it for you. Yes?
So what's the best time to call?
The best time to call, according to the experts, is in the morning, and there's a reason for that. Anytime is a good time to call. You can call at 3 to 5 or in the evening. But the reason you want to call in the morning, because no matter what time you call, there's always an excuse. Well, at 3 o'clock, moms go and shopping, or dads are not back at work. At 7 o'clock, you don't want to call because they're having dinner. But they say call in the morning, because when do you have the most energy and when is your mind fresh? Most of the time, in the morning. That's why I call at 8 in the morning. At 10 o'clock, I'm done, because then I get the escrow call. Guess what? Appraisal came in low. Guess what? Your loan got... So I don't want that when I'm calling. So the best time to call, according to experts, is in the morning. And I call 8 to 10 every day. Yeah. Yes?
Are you using dialer to assist in
Yeah, I just started using it about 3 months ago, and it's great. Yeah.
Which service are you using? Mojo sales or?
No, I'm using the Arch dialer, and it dials for you. For those of you who don't know what a dialer is that you take your database or you put it in the dialer, and the phone dials for you. So instead of you punching in the numbers, it dials for you, and it's very fast. So you can take your 5 an hour to 10 an hour just by switching to a dialer, because you don't have to dial the numbers.
Mike, is there a pause? I've used CallFire in the past, and one of the frustrations I had was that it paused and there was a silence on the other end.
No, not with these. There might be some silence, but I've never had the problem. But remember, it's a numbers game. So if somebody thinks it's a robocall, because it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to answer. So let those go. There's one guy going to say, oh, you're calling from how'd you get my number? I get it every day, especially on cell phones. In fact, I get it every day. Oh, may I ask you a question? And they say, yeah, ask me, how'd you get my number? And I tell them, my assistant got it. I'm sorry, but my assistant got it because it is my assistant. Although I buy it, that's my virtual assistant. So I'm not lying to them. Then I say, we probably, and I'm not lying. It is an assistant, right? It's a virtual assistant.
It's something I pay for. Yeah.
No, but it's a virtual assistant, right? And then I say, they probably got it from tax records or public records. I said, okay.
Yeah.
Nobody has told me or got mad why I call them. They may get mad because they're busy and why are you calling work. That's fine. It's a numbers game. I don't get upset, and you shouldn't get either. So, yeah.
Do you call random, or like, do you know that you're calling XYZ community?
Yeah, no, I don't call random. Just like open house, you just do. You prepare for an open house. So when I call, I already have a list. First, what I do first is call the expires in the morning, the first thing, because if you call expires at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, it's too late. So you got to call them first because other agents are calling. Those who work expires call 8 o'clock in the morning. So I call expired first, then I call what I call the just listed and just sold. So let's say you listed the one in Brea. So you can get 200 numbers around that listing. And you call around there and say, hey, I just listed a home on Brea Street. I sold it in 2 days at 1.8. Who do you know that wants to think about moving or selling? Because we know that when one sells, few more sell right away. And
So
you know,
call off other people's listings?
no, your listing or office listing. It doesn't
So
matter.
anybody in the office, you'll call off what we.
Or just no, what I started doing now is take a track. Take any track, Summit Point. Get their numbers. Take Belsome. It's open territory.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
But if I call around a just sold or just listed, then I ask the agent. But I've had enough of my own just listed, just sold, so I don't have to ask anybody. But for those of you that don't have a listing right now, you can ask Kathy or Anna and say, hey, whose listing can I call around and ask them? Hey, Bruce, you just listed one in Placentia. Can I call around there?
It's the same method as, who's heard of the Paul Revere method, territory management?
Right.
Same concept, and the system that he's using is a great system because it can pull the phone numbers in that area. So if it's a gated community and there's a brand new listing in that gated community that just came up, let's just say. Most of the time in Paul Revere, what is the one thing that you learn in Paul Revere? You go out and door knock the neighbors and say, hey, guess what? I'm not sure if you knew that there's a brand new listing here. And I've got a few buyers. Have you thought about buying or selling? Same thing in this, except instead of door knocking, he's making the outbound call. It's a great system.
It's open territory, or I can just take sold, right? Sold is public information. So I can take the sold and say, hey, Donna, I know you live in the Belsome tract. Did you know that the one on Rocky Point just sold? Or Rock Garden just sold? So it's open territory. Sales is public information. You don't have to ask anybody. It's a courtesy to ask your agents. I would. So, any other questions? Otherwise, we'll start with the demo. One more question.
Mike, how long have you been doing cold calling?
Quite a while. I started, you know what? I forgot to mention one point, which was very critical, but I'll mention that. I've been calling, I started my real estate business calling. My source of income is twofold. One is from calling, and one is my center of influence. People I know. But here's the point that I forgot, and I apologize, but I'll say it right now, and that's a good question. I wanted to ask you, how many of you would like a lot of repeat and referral business? All of you, right? Okay, so if you call, and if you get a lead, and if you sell him, right, he became your past client. Or if you call and say, oh, you know what, you become friends with him, and he becomes a fan of yours. Hey, you know what, Karen, I know you're not going to sell. Let me send you my card. Let me send you my card. And I know you're going to sell next year. But I also have this great newsletter. Do you mind if I send it to you once a month? Okay, so now I'm sending her every month, and guess what? Because she talked to me, I'm gonna call her once a month or once a quarter. Hey Karen, did you get my newsletter or whatever? And ask for a referral. Hey Karen, I know you said you're not gonna sell, but who do you know wants to buy or sell in your neighborhood? You just created your repeat and referral business from cold call. People will refer you. I called Santa Ana listing, which I got from calling, and I called a lady, say, hey, I just sold a home, and we know that one home sells. I'm using a script, few more sales. Who do you know wants to buy or sell? So I'm not gonna sell, honey. She goes, she was a 90-year-old lady or whatever. But the guys next door are selling.
So guess what?
Yeah, I don't know their name. So she said, hold on. And I waited there for 3 minutes. She went out and got the address.
Oh my.
Yeah. So you will get repeat referrals if you work it. You will get fans. So if you think about it, you're adding to your database. So that was a point I forgot, and we'll stop at that. Okay. Oh, one more.
You didn't, I don't think you mentioned anything about do not call list.
Do not call list.
Is there a do not call list?
Yeah.
Mike doesn't.
No, there is a do not call list, and most of the, depending on where you get, when I get a list from a title company, they take it off, so I don't have to worry about it. When I buy, depending on which source you buy, some of them will give you the do not call, some of them will not scrub it, so I don't worry about it. But if I call somebody, hey Donna, do you want to sell your home? Well, how'd you get my number? Well, I got it from public record. Did you know that was a do not call list? Oh, I apologize, I didn't know. Okay, don't call me back. And delete it. Respect that. But I hardly get that. Never had, maybe once in 2 weeks I get a call, did you know I was a do not call list? Most of them don't know. Because most of them don't put it on the do not call list. Did you know that you have to add yourself to the do not call list? And most of them don't. How many know what's the website to put it on do not call list? And you guys are realtors, you should know.
Do not call list.com.
Okay, he's new so he knows, but most of them don't. So just respect that, apologize, and don't call him, and delete it. All right, we got 15 more minutes, so we're gonna do a little role play. Are you still on? Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pretend to be an agent. Luis is gonna be a seller, and the objective of this demo is not that we're gonna get a listing or not. It's the process of calling, process of using the process of the rack system, just to know how to call, how to handle a call. So and it doesn't have to be that we get an appointment or not. So I'm going to read a script. This is what I use. The script I've been using is the Mike Ferry script. So I'll just be doing that. And of course, we'll try not to look at it, but we're on the phone. So we're going to talk to each other, but we're on the phone. So here it goes. It shouldn't take 5-6 minutes. So we'll do 2 or 3 of these. So ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, I'm looking for Luis.
Yeah, this is Luis. Who's this?
Oh, hi, Luis. This is Mike Patel with First Team. And I'm sure you figured out that your house came up on our computer as an expired listing. And I'm just calling to see, Luis, when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling a home?
Yeah, you're like 10th call. I'm good right now.
You're good right now. And did you say 10 calls, Luis?
Yes, correct. You're like
Wow.
the 10th, 15th person.
I understand. There's 7,000 agents in Orange County and only 10 people called? Okay,
Yeah.
I understand. So how soon, so if you sold this home, Luis, where were you going to move to?
I don't know. I was thinking up north. I'm not sure.
Okay, great. I'm not sure. Okay, and how soon do you have to be there up north?
As soon as I sell this house, I want to be with my family up there.
Okay, so you have to sell this house. Okay, good to hear that. So Luis, what do you think stopped your home from selling?
Didn't get an offer.
Didn't get an offer. Sorry to hear about that. So how did you pick that agent that you listed with?
It was a referral, family friend, but you know what? I'm good right now. I gotta go. I got some stuff to do.
Okay, I understand. And you're getting a lot of calls, so you're a little bit frustrated. So I totally
Correct.
understand. But a quick question: you mentioned that you had that listing. What did the agent do that you like best?
I guess he had some nice flyers and did an open house.
Okay. So open house and flyers. What do you feel they should have done to sell your house?
Get me an offer and put it in escrow and sell it. That's what I
Okay.
wanted.
Okay. So sounds like agent should have brought you an offer, sell it, and you want to move to the north, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Didn't even talk to the guy.
I totally understand. So have you already chosen an agent to list with, should you decide to list again? And I know you're frustrated, but should you do that?
I'm talking to people.
Okay, great.
So
Okay, then
that's
I know
about
you've
it.
talked to 10 people already. So Luis, I would like to apply for the job of selling a home. Are you familiar with the techniques I use to sell homes, usually within 30 days in this market?
No, I'm not.
You're kidding me. Okay. What's the best time to show you? Are you available at 5 today or 6 tomorrow?
You know what? Today I'm running a little. It's just time's very tight.
Okay.
Try me back like maybe end of the week.
Okay. Okay. I'll definitely do that. But you said that you're frustrated and you want to move to Northern California, right?
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
And you also mentioned you wanted an offer and you've been on the market 6 months, right? And Luis, are you aware that the market's very hot right now?
I'm not too sure. You know,
Okay.
my other realtor didn't tell me that.
Okay, so if I can show you that I can sell you home in 30 days, get you the top price, and I know you listed for $799, and I'm sure you want close to $799. If I can show you how I can do it in 30 days with no hassles, can you give me 20 minutes? Tomorrow, if not tomorrow, how about the weekend and Saturday at 5?
Just 20 minutes, that's it?
20 minutes unless you have more questions, it may take longer. So
I'm not going to sign any contracts.
okay, I don't expect you to sign anything, but if I show you something and you absolutely feel that I can sell you home, would you consider it?
Yeah, definitely. How much do you guys charge on the commission by chance?
Well, that's a great question. You want to find out how much I charge the commission.
Correct.
Okay, so what you're saying is you want to get the most money by selling a home, right?
Yeah,
Okay, because you want to use the down payment money to put over there, right?
correct,
Okay.
yeah.
So when I'm over there, I'll show you how I net you the most, and also show you how I can sell it sooner. So I'm glad you asked it because I will talk about it when I come over there. So is 5 okay tomorrow, or is Saturday better?
You can do Saturday. We'll do Saturday around noon.
Great, okay,
Is
so I'll
that
come
all
at, okay, noon is fine. By the way, Luis, are you married, or are you the only one entitled, or?
Just me so far.
Okay, so I'll see you at noon on Saturday.
Sounds good.
Good job.
So,
Yeah.
process, understand the process. That's all it is. Ask questions. Stay on. He didn't talk about the dogs and the family. He talked about our agents. But as a professional, you never talk down about our agents.
Right.
Where they didn't sell their own. I could have said, oh, they only did marketing flyers. What kind of agent? Never bash agents because they are co-workers or so.
You want to do it just listen?
Sure.
I'm
What-
scared.
oh, you want me to do
Yeah,
it?
do it.
Okay.
I'm nervous.
No.
Getting nervous up there.
So,
You did great. Good.
You are getting an Academy Award for this.
Be a seller.
all right. Okay, so now we're going to do a just listed script, and this is a very easy script. And if you call just listed, you can do 20 in an hour very easily because it only has 5 or 6 questions. And by the second or third question, you know whether you're going to go on or not. Versus an expired or FISBO, you got almost 10 questions, and they're going to argue with you or object with you, and you got to play with them. And what we did was a typical call that I get. It's pretty typical. Will you cut your commission? I have a friend in the business. How long do you list with? Why didn't you show my house? It's the same basic questions. If you know those answers, it's easy to get those. So I'm going to do a just listed script, and again, what I'm doing is I have my headset on, I have the dialer on because I uploaded in the dialer and it just dials fast. So I'm just calling. Hi, this is Mike with First Team Real Estate. Is this Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, this is.
Great, great. And you're Luis, right?
Yes, correct. How can I help you?
Yeah, Luis, I just listed a home for sale on your street over there on 555 Main Street. It has 4 bedrooms and 3 baths, and it's listed for $999.
Okay.
And I was just wondering, Luis, who do you know that would like to move into this area?
Not off the top of my head, but what was the square footage on that house?
That square footage was 2,200 square feet.
Okay, so it's very similar to mine then.
I'm assuming that, so you have the same model. So you're aware of that house, right?
Correct. Well, I didn't know. I haven't driven by there, but that's
Okay.
good. So $599, you said?
No, $999.
Oh, $989. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't.
Side note, phones, that's why you have to be energetic and you have to be loud because that's what happens. So that's why you talk loud and talk to be energetic. You may want to drive by, Luis, so you know which plan it is. And if
Okay.
you want, I'll be glad to mail you a flyer, or if you have an email, I can send you the listing.
Yeah,
That's
you can shoot me the listing on email.
Great, great. Sure, I'll do that. What's your email?
Email.
Okay. So, Luis, I was just wondering, when do you plan on moving?
I'm not moving. I've been here 20 years. so
Really?
I'm
20
fine.
years? Wow. Where'd you move from?
I moved from Placentia.
Okay, great, right. Okay. And how'd you happen to pick this area 20 years ago when you moved here?
The schools, good school districts, so the kids.
Right, right. Okay. And I understand you're not planning on moving, but I was just curious, Luis, if you were to move in the future, where would you go?
Ooh, I would maybe go to like Yorba Linda. I like Yorba Linda.
Yeah, great. Yeah, my cousin lives with. That's great. And when would that be?
When I get a raise.
Get a raise. Okay. You think you're gonna raise the next couple of months, or?
You know, I'm probably not.
Okay, maybe next year.
Sometime, I mean, I got no plans on moving right now.
I totally understand. Before I let you go, Luis, and good luck on your raise. Before I let you go, I have one quick question. Do you know any of your neighbors, any friends that thinking about moving or selling?
Maybe one of my, friends might think about moving out here. I'm not sure. I got to talk to him about it.
Okay, great.
But I'll let him know.
Okay, here's my number, and do you mind if I call him?
You know, I'll give him your number
Okay.
if that's okay with you.
Great, I really appreciate it. By the way, I'll send you my card, and when you're ready to sell, hope you think about me or call me for any questions. I'll be glad to help.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Bye.
Fast call, you move on. All right, so I think we got 5 minutes. I'll take a few questions if you have any, or Anna, you want to add something? Or
I think you guys did a
Okay.
phenomenal job. Let me ask you this.
okay,
When you're, one of the objections that I hear from agents are, I don't like door knocking because I don't like people knocking at my door, or I don't like making cold calls because I don't like receiving cold calls. How do you feel about that?
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. So somebody's
How do you
telling
deal with your own talk in your head, and apprehension of making that call because you don't like getting the calls yourself? Does that make sense?
Okay. Well, it's like brushing your teeth. Make it a habit. Make it a routine. It doesn't matter. You know, I have to go to work. I have to drive 40 minutes. I don't like it, but guess what? You're going to have to drive. The first thing you have to think about, and of course I'm not saying this, but the experts explain that most of the people don't prospect, whether it's by phone or by open house or by marketing. Why don't they prospect? Because they don't have a reason to. Why do you come to work every day? Right? You don't have a why. What's your why? Why do you want to make $100,000 or $200,000? If you don't have that, you're not going to make the calls. That's the number one reason. So you got to make the calls. You got to have your why. That's why everybody teaches you, you know, when you come to your office, put what your dreams are, right? You want to buy a plane and you want to move to Kauai or whatever.
Board.
Vision board, because if you don't have a vision, if you don't, you know, carrot, you got to have that. That's human. Then you'll never do it. That's the number one reason. Yep.
What's the greatest fear of people making a call? Is it because you call it a cold call? Because they're not all cold calls, are they?
Right. Are you talking about agents, or what's the fear of agents calling?
Rejection.
Yeah, rejection. Most people don't like rejection, and that's why our first topic was know what to expect. I'm going to dial 75 numbers. I'm going to talk to 15 people. It's going to take me 2 hours. What's tough about that? So if you say no, 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 you know, so the more no's you have, the closer you are to a yes. And remember, how much are you making on that call? Every time you dial, how much are you making? I mean, that's an example, but yeah.
So the motivation has to be big.
Motivation is internal, and I can help you there, but you have to be self-motivated. And one of the ways to stay motivated, and we're going off track here, is that to be motivated, you have to have a right attitude, you have a superior mind, and to have a superior mind, you have to be physically fit, superiorly fit, because action creates emotion. Yeah. So all the experts tell you, go to the gym, go exercise. There's a reason for that, because when you move, you got endorphins in your body coming out. So move, you get emotions, you stay motivated. So either you have negative emotions, you have positive, there's no in between. If you have negative ones, go jog and get pumped up. Eat right and blah, all that, but we're not going to get into that. But that's internal motivation. Oh, I think Kathy, you had a question now.
How, when I saw you going with Luis, and you were a little combative, but not a whole bunch.
Yeah.
When do you know to just let it go? Like how quick, are you off sometimes in 30
Oh yeah, all the
seconds?
time. Yeah, sometimes it's 30 seconds, yeah. Yeah, sometimes they're obnoxious, you just let them go. It's a numbers game. Even when it expires, my goal is to get to 6 or 7 questions. My goal is to get to 4 or 5 questions that I'm talking.
So you give yourself a goal.
You gotta get to 4th or 5th question, because you've heard this before. When do you get the close? Right. After 5, 6, 7 closes. Right. Pre-close them, right? These are all closing questions. Okay. Oh, Luis, you said you're going to go to Northern California, right? You can't go there until you sell your home, right?
Correct.
And your agent did do a good job, did he?
No.
Do you want to see what I do to sell homes in 30 days?
I'm not sure. Been on the fence.
I totally understand, but you said you're moving there because your grandma is sick, right?
Correct.
Would you rather sell now or you see your grandma get worse? Which do you prefer?
Sell now.
Sell now. So can I come at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, that's fine. You see grandma.
Okay.
Don't use my grandma.
So one of the key things about the script is find their why. See why, talking about motivation, why do you want to make this call? What's your why, right? But here's the buyer and seller, hey, why do you want to sell? Well, my grandma is sick, or my daughter's having a baby, I'm going to become a grandpa. I need to be there because she goes to work. So Louise, if you don't sell your home, who's going to take care of your grandkids? You want to leave them to strangers when they're 1 month old?
No.
No? I mean, that's reality, right? I'm not saying anything lie.
Wow.
It's fact, right? I mean, yeah.
Like,
It's tough with that one.
how many numbers do you go through? I mean, how do you have to prepare? Like, do you have to have 500 phone numbers?
Yeah, you have them, a whole bunch of them.
Do you buy them all?
Yeah, the expireds and the Facebook is a company, and if you, I gave a number to Louise 3-4 months ago. Redx.com is one of them. He started calling, and he's got a list